For the mamas, the mama to be, the women trying to become pregnant, or for those of you that are doulas, midwives, or supporting women in their motherhood process, I wanted to invite you to a class that's happening on Tuesday with the lovely Elaine Sheff, who is the founder of the Green Path Herb School, a brilliant clinical herbalist and educator who's been doing this work for over 36 years. Anyway, she's coming in to teach a class in the Community Herbalist program all about herbs for pregnancy and supporting that entire journey from preconception to postpartum. And I couldn't be more delighted to have her here. Elaine is a brilliant educator, so kind, so compassionate, so loving, and deeply knowledgeable in this field. So while these are usually classes I hold for the Community Herbalist mentorship students only, I know that this is information that's so important for people to know about and more women and healers to hold in their hand. Because if you've ever tried to learn about herbs and safety in pregnancy, it is a struggle to get some real, straight, legit answers. And I know that that is exactly what Elaine is going to serve up. So again, the class is happening Tuesday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's going to be about a 3-hour class loaded with handouts and recipes and invaluable insight. Of course, there's a replay. I know 3 hours is a long time to pop into one day, but you will get the replay in about 48 hours. So I would love to see you in the class if you are passionate about supporting women on their motherhood journey. This knowledge is the kind of knowledge we really need to continue passing to others. So I've dropped a link in the show notes for you to join us in Herbs for Pregnancy, supporting the journey from preconception to postpartum. I hope to see you there. A couple of weeks ago, one of my students in the Community Herbalist program reached out to me and she was like, "Hey, Mel, oh my gosh, I just got notice that the FDA is coming to inspect where I make my remedies that she sells." She's a brilliant formulator, a really brilliant herbalist, and a super powerful woman doing great work. She grows the majority of the herbs she uses, and she's even got a background in healthcare prior to becoming an herbalist. But when this inspector was there, he decided to do his research, quote unquote. And his research was straight from Google AI. That right there, that statement alone is frightening. Welcome to the Herbalist Path. If you love learning about the power of plant medicine and how to use it in your life, this show is for you. I'm Mel Butterspot, clinical herbalist, herbal educator, and your host. In each episode, you're going to hear me sharing herbal insights and knowledge from my 25 plus years of working with and learning from the plants. Plus, I'm going to share interviews with some of the most amazing herbalists, educators, farmers, and healers out there, all bringing their herbal wisdom here for you. Really, this show is all about continuing this movement to put an herbalist in every home and a healer in every community. Again, thank you so much for listening, and welcome to the Herbalist Path. Enjoy the show. Hello, and welcome back to another episode here on the Herbalist Path. I'm both excited and holy cow, kind of around today's topic. It's a pretty big and heavy one that I felt would be really, really important to share with everybody, especially since we're all here interested in herbal medicine. Some of you may have your own product lines and be making herbs and tinctures and teas and things like that you are selling to people in your community or stores or wherever it may be. So this topic is a pretty heavy one and a really eye-opening one. So let me start it with A couple of weeks ago, one of my students in the community herbalist program reached out to me and she was like, "Hey, Mel, oh my gosh, I just got notice that the FDA is coming to inspect where I make my remedies that she sells." So, just to backtrack a little bit, she's been a student of mine since 2022. She's relatively new in the community herbalist program, but she did medicine making mamas. She's learned from many other brilliant herbalists, and she's really, really sharp. She runs a small herbal product line out of her home where she has been very, very diligent to follow the rules and do all of the right things. She's a brilliant formulator, a really brilliant herbalist, and a super powerful woman doing great work. She grows the majority of the herbs she uses, and she really knows what she's doing and is eager to help those in her community. She's even got a background in healthcare prior to becoming an herbalist. She still works in healthcare, actually, and runs her product line. So, just a little background on her. And so when she reached out to me, I knew immediately how that felt. I used to get inspected every single year when I ran Mountain Mel's. They would come to my facility, they would do the inspection. So I was like, okay, you got this. I know that you are documenting everything from the moment you get an herb into stock or harvest it from your garden. You're documenting the date, where it came from, any lot numbers, if she did get herbs from somebody else, and documenting the processes in which she made it, making sure her SOPs, and if you don't know, SOPs stands for standard operating procedures, are in place and dialed. So it's like, make sure you have all of that. Make sure that your labels are compliant, that there are no structure function claims on your labels saying things like, this will cure your headaches or give you extra headache relief or things along those lines. Those will definitely send up big flags for the FDA, and you're highly likely to get someone knocking on your door going like, "Excuse me, what kind of drugs are you trying to sell?" Right? So I just walked her through the steps like, okay, breathe, first of all. Know that you have been taking your business very seriously. You have been wise in following all of the rules and the regulations that are there for your state and for the feds as well, which the FDA is the Food and Drug Administration from the United States government, right? They do inspect herbal product companies, no matter how large or small you may be. Mine was still a relatively small one, despite I was selling into health food stores and REI and all kinds of different places. And I did an e-commerce store. She's mostly e-commerce and selling within her community. Again, she's still got her facility out of her home. She's got all the appropriate sinks and cleaning supplies and things that you really do have to have in line when you are running an herbal product or selling an herbal product. So, with all of that being said, she went into the meeting, or he came to her house and did all of the inspection stuff, was generally happy with how well she had documented things. And the biggest thing he had an issue with, and this is where things get really, really wild, was her use of elderberries. She makes an elderberry echinacea tincture. She also makes an elderberry syrup, and he did not mind the elderberry syrup. But when this inspector was there, he decided to do his research, quote unquote. And his research was straight from Google AI. That right there, that statement alone is frightening. It's really, really scary. And I'm going to dive into many of the reasons why this is scary as we go on. So, as he did his Google AI research, he learned about the cyanogenic glycosides that are present in elderberries, which, yes, they are there, and those can cause great harm and damage to we as humans. But once they're heated or boiled or discarded, they are no longer a danger or a threat to people at all. So,
she explained that to him, like, hey, yeah, I know that there's cyanogenic glycosides in there. They're in the seeds of the ripe berries. They are definitely prevalent in the unripe berries. They are in the leaves. They are in the bark of the shrubbery. Plenty of places. But again, once they're heated or otherwise processed, they're no longer an issue. So she tried to explain that to him, and he was very adamant. Nope. The cyanogenic glycosides are in this tincture, and you shouldn't be selling this product, and this is quite dangerous. And the only place he would go was to Google AI for his research. And yeah, that chaps my hide, quite frankly. It's so frightening. And he was very stubborn about it. So the next week she comes and tells us this story of how this is going on. And so we're like, okay, great. Let's pull up some studies talking about elderberries, their safety, the cyanogenic glycosides, all of those things. I looked into the Botanical Safety Handbook, which, if you're watching this on video, is this book right here. It's from the American Herbal Products Association. And they do some in-depth research linked to plenty of studies. They will classify the herbs as whether they are safe or not. It did talk about studies that had been done where there was little to no damage seen in the laboratory with animals, and it is registered as the most safe kind of herb out there. So I shared those with her and found several other studies talking about it, because he was coming back at the end of the week. And so he returns, and she's there with like stacks of studies. She's there with the American Herbal Products Association's Botanical Safety Handbook, and still none of it was good enough for him. He was still very adamant that these cyanogenic glycosides were going to poison people. Mind you now, while she is a very small herbal products company, there are huge ones out there that are also selling elderberry tinctures in massive quantities. And for, I don't know, 60,000 years or so, people have been utilizing elderberries and not dying or causing any harm from it. That's disturbing, right? Also, like, they allow things like red dye 40. Now we're allowed to have microplastics not be tested for our waters anymore. I know the administration just allowed some forever chemicals to be sprayed on our most common crops grown here in the United States. But here's this other herb and these cyanogenic glycosides that are not prevalent in the actual ending product. And this guy wants to bug out on it. And his only use, again, of research is Google AI. And so when we were in that second call, we do weekly calls in the community herbalist program to give everybody great support and mentorship and things along those lines. And I had a light bulb moment right then, and it came from the work I'm doing with Eclectic Herb. I don't know if you know, but I have another podcast. It's called Eclectic Herbal Wisdom, and I'm doing it with the CEO and owner of Eclectic Herb, an excellent herbal product company that's been around since 1982. Anyways, she's also got this incredible library and collection of vintage remedies of herbs. So in the library, there's books as old as 1702 from Nicholas Culpeper. There's the King's American Dispensatory. Many of the references that our eclectic physicians and others have used throughout time. So really bringing in the history of Western herbalism today. That's the main objective of that podcast, and it's really, really cool. So go listen to it. And especially as we get going, we're kind of getting our footing together, like co-hosting a podcast is a whole nother world. But anyways, my point being is, like, she's also got these really cool old remedies. And if you go in there, you'll see like bottles from Eli Lilly, which is now the Lilly Pharmaceutical Company, which is a $1 trillion a year company, the world's largest pharmaceutical company, used to make dandelion extract, gentian extract, calendula extract, right? That was their original medicine. I think if you're listening to this, you understand that the plants have always been our medicine. But even these pharmaceutical companies that are huge in the world today relied on these plants as medicine in the 1800s and early 1900s as well. And then they started to discover, like, oh my gosh, we can extract certain chemicals from these plants to package up into small pills that we can then concentrate and sell to the masses for quite an exponential profit, right? The only problem is for them that people have been using these plants as medicine for over 60,000 years. This was the medicine of the people for so long. So they had to figure out a way to make people forget about the power of plants as medicine. They had to make us dumb. They had to sell these new pills as the new instant fix or the way to be, and really pshaw on the herbs and how powerful they are, so people would not want to use the herbs anymore. And if you look to it, like just in the 70s and 80s, hardly anybody was using herbs. Hardly anybody was even using herbs before the pandemic. It was a very, very small crowd of people that were awakening to this and sharing this information with people and trying to revive the use of plant medicine. That is just a very, very, very short blip of time on the timeline of humanity, where people were only turning to the pharmaceuticals. Long enough for Lilly Pharmaceutical to become $1 trillion a year company instead of relying on the wild weeds that are out in our yards, right? But the main objective back then was to stupefy us, to make us forget about the plants as medicine. And it hit me like this light bulb moment. That's exactly what's happening with AI right now. Tell me Google AI is not like completely subject to whatever the top articles are that are being pushed forward by the ones with the highest money that want to have their biggest objective there, right? We are not getting facts from AI. We are not looking deeply into studies and research from AI. And yes, that is controlled by the powers that be, because it helps stupefy us. It helps us stay on their path and their trajectory. It weakens us as a collective. And that's scary. So our FDA inspector here, using Google AI for his research, is the equivalent of whatever it is that they were doing in the early 1900s to erase this knowledge from our lineage. Do you see where the problem is here? Hopefully I'm making it really, really clear. And it is really, really frightening. And it's all the more reason we need people that are not lazy with their research, with herbal medicine, that actually experience this. They touch the plants, they feel the plants, they read the research when necessary. Not everybody has to be a researcher. I get it. It takes a lot of work. But we do need to go beyond the instant fix of, oh, the internet said it. Oh, Google said it. Oh, that latest Instagram reel said it. Must be true. That's where herbalism gets really, really dangerous. There is so much nuance in the world of herbs and the ways in which they work with each and every unique individual, because all of our bodies are different. All of our symptoms are different. All of the reasons we may have whatever illness it is that we are trying to work with may be different. And there are various approaches to go to it. You know, you might think you just have this issue with your skin, but you probably need to go deeper and look into the digestive system, look to the liver, right? Look to your nervous system. What's causing stress that may cause issues in the digestive system or with the liver? It's a big you. We are all big, beautiful, complex beings. And these plants are big, beautiful, complex beings and work in such powerful and unique and magical, nuanced ways. I say magical, that's not for the lack of science. Like, there's definitely a lot of science here as well. So, yeah, okay. I'm kind of on a rant because it's a big deal. It's a really, really big deal. So the other things that this student brought up in one of those classes is like, great, you're messing with us for these cyanogenic glycosides, but you're cool with the red dye 40. You're cool with all the other junk going into people's bodies and the absolute crap for food that people are being fed and the absolute horrific water supplies and all of the other things that are really having a detrimental effect on people's health. But this herb that actually has been proven to fight off various viruses that can grow in darn near every community within our country. that are there for the people. That's the problem. That's the problem they want to go after. Growl. It makes me so damn mad. It makes me so damn mad. So then on the next call, I'm like, okay, how can I support her? This is actually turning into more of a thing than we really want it to be. Again, backtracking, she had her SOPs in check. She had been documenting every product she ever made from the seed of the plant all the way to the final end customer and what's going on with that and throughout the whole path, right? She had all of her cleaning things in place. She was doing things by the book. She was doing it all how she is supposed to do. Yet this guy is trying to make an example of her. And I can't help but wonder, like, goodness gracious, with all of the cuts we had at the beginning of this administration to the federal government, is this just a new guy that was one of the pawns that would play to their ways that they needed to be? Has this guy been working for this role for 3 to 6 months and really has no clue what he's talking about? I mean, if he's going to Google AI and trusting that as his research, I think we can all answer that pretty well right here, right now. But I also connected her with other people. So I had her look to her small business administration around there. Are there any legal people, any lawyers that might do pro bono work? What kind of networking organizations does she have? She has a women's networking, women in business networking organization in her community. So it's like, reach out to those women. They might have people that can help you. I connected her with the compliance person for Eclectic Herb to give some insight there. Again, we looked for different articles and research. I looked to the American Herbal Products Association. I've actually connected with some of the board members and a few other people pretty high up with the American Herbal Products Association and let them know what's happening. And they're like, ooh, send her to us, send her to us so we can do whatever it is to nip this in the bud and continue to be able to have herbs for the people. Know what I mean? Yeah. So just seeking out all of the ways in which we can support her in this journey, make sure she's making wise decisions, doing things as they desire and by the book, because this is scary. She's put a lot of time, money, effort, love, passion, knowledge, skill, experience, everything it takes to run a good, successful, well thought out, and well done herbal product company. She does not deserve to have this happening. And we do not deserve to be stupefied with plant medicine. Right? Oh, okay. I just wanted to share this with you. I'm sure that there's probably other aspects that could go to this conversation, but for right now, this is where we're at. And I just think it's so darn important that we are all connecting with the plants. We are learning about the plants in the greatest ways that we can. We are not trusting Google AI for our plant information. Find yourself a mentor, find yourself some teachers, do the research, read scientific studies, learn the skill of reading scientific studies. Understand them. And not only the scientific studies, but again, this goes back to our ancestral knowledge and knowing that oftentimes there are no scientific studies about herbs simply because the powers that be are the ones that pay for those studies. And if they make it more apparent that these herbs can do what they can do for us, then they lose a lot of profit. Right? So there's a lot of studies on various herbs out there. I'm not saying there's none, but they're definitely significantly limited because of that factor. The plants aren't going to pay the bills to get the tests done. But we can do that, right? Of course, wisely. There are plants out there that can harm us greatly, right? That's where mentors and teachers and books and guides can really, really help you. So anyways, hopefully this is a bit of an awakener for you. If you're running an herbal product line, just know that you can get inspected at any point in time as well. Again, I used to have it every single year. This was my students' first time. It probably won't be the last time. So if you are running an herbal product line, make sure you've got your ducks in a row. Make sure your formulations are listed out. Make sure you're documenting everything. You have standard operating procedures. You have all of it aligned. And if you're looking for support on your herbal journey and just making sure that things are going well, I'd love to support you. The Community Herbalist Certification and Mentorship is where this student is. We meet weekly. We talk about things like this. We also talk about issues that somebody's client or family member or themselves may be experiencing. And we collectively work through that as a case. I try and zip my lips for my ideas and allow the students to ask great questions of the person that's presenting something that can help them determine some of the right herbs or right lifestyle protocols to go into things. I let them speak what their intuition and their knowledge and skill set is saying as to what they would recommend. And then once we get all of that together, I come in the end and say, hey, yeah, that's a really great idea. Or maybe we might use caution over here. Or maybe we might want to consider this herb or consider working with this system, even though they're presenting with a totally different ailment, because we know how deeply integrated and holistic our bodies are. So that's a lot of what it's about. One of my students recently said it's like an apprenticeship with you. So that made me feel good. I know how important apprenticeships and mentorships are. I am so grateful for all of my teachers over the years and as they continue to be. So yeah, if you want that kind of support, let's chat about it. Reach out to me. We can just have a discussion and make sure it's a right fit. No biggie if it's not. And if this podcast was helpful for you, or you have another friend who's running an herbal product line, or you feel like this needs to be shared with somebody, please, 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 please share it. This is a big time in our world today as things are rapidly shifting and changing in so many ways. But you know what's not rapidly changing? I mean, they're always evolving in one way, shape, or form, but the plants, they're still the people's medicine, and we need to keep it that way. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. And I really do truly appreciate every time you listen to one of these episodes and every time you share them. It really makes my world go round. All right. I hope it makes yours go round a bit more too. Have a great week. I will see you in the next episode. Take care. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of The Herbalist Path. If you're loving this journey into herbal medicine, please follow and review the show. It helps more people find their own path with the plants. And if you know someone who could use this kind of support, please share this episode with them. So that way we can keep making herbalism spread like wildflowers. Also, a gentle reminder, nothing shared on this podcast is intended to diagnose, treat, or cure any disease. This is all for educational purposes and, yeah, a little entertainment too. But it is not a substitute for personalized care from a qualified health practitioner. Always do your own research, listen to your body, and when needed, partner with a trusted professional who honors both your intuition and your unique health journey. Until next time, take care, stay curious, and keep walking the herbalist path. If you have been paying any kind of attention to the world today, you know that there are so many people out there that are struggling for one reason or another. And if you're listening to this podcast, or if you're like me, you likely have a lot of compassion and empathy and this strong desire to do whatever you can to help other people. And if that is you, I did put together a guide for you. It's called Medicine for the People, an herbalist guide to showing up for your community in times of need. And I give you plenty of ideas in ways that you can use your herbal skills to help people in your community and organizations to connect with that can help you along the path as well. So if you want that guide, you better believe it is linked down in the show notes, totally free, really just a way to inspire you to take your herbal skills and knowledge and step out to help people that need you here and now. So it's linked for you. Go ahead and grab it if you want it. Take care.